Hello, here we go again. Another story. This story is called Pulse, NDE, Near Death Experience. It's from The Saint the Great Gatsby. Pulse, I like that wee design on it. This story always gets me thinking about the afterlife. It's quite deep. So let's go. Pulse, NDE. For many years now, and many reasons, I've been curious about what happens after we die. It wasn't always like this. I remember my younger days when I believed when we're gone, being one of those we return to the earth from which we came type thing. Worm food, that's what we become. My connection with the experience of death and of losing a loved one hadn't yet begun. My awareness of the subject was non-existent. You could say I was a bit of a heathen, or perhaps better described as an atheist. When reflecting on those times, I remember ranting about religion, its connection with controlling the masses, and the number of deaths associated with my God's better than your God type thing. Anyway, things have significantly changed from those times, including my awareness and life experiences. Now I'm more spiritual with a belief in a universal force of sorts. But before getting any further into that, let's detail a near-death experience a friend of mine, Danny, went through, and we'll take it from there. So, over to Danny. A few years back, I was involved in a car crash. Any car crash is bad enough, but this one at the time, well, it could have been a lot worse. I was all right, a bit shaken, but all right. It wasn't till months later it became apparent that my back wasn't functioning as it should, and I was experiencing increasingly severe pain in my lower spine. The doctor ordered me to attend various tests, and the seriousness of the situation began to unfold. The medics informed me that I required spinal surgery and had no option. If I don't operate soon, you may lose the ability to walk. It's not exactly what anyone wants to hear. Around this time, my father also passed away, and it transpired that my surgery was to take place the day after his funeral. Under different circumstances, the arrangements for surgery would have been rescheduled. It was a tough time indeed. I knew it was serious stuff. Still, the words, "you may lose the ability to walk," reverberated around my head, and I decided to keep the arranged appointment. So, appointment day. On the day of surgery, I arrive at the hospital feeling a little apprehensive, saying goodbye to my father the previous day, and with those words bouncing around my head, "you may lose the ability to walk," made for a weird mixture of emotions. There was no turning back, and I'm here now, as they say. And after settling in, going through the pre-op procedure, we all head to the theatre, and the surgeons do their thing. I vaguely recall being wheeled out of surgery and into the post-op ward, which has 5 other people in beds. I'm not quite lucid at this time, presumably from the drugs used to anaesthetise me for the operation. I must have fallen asleep, as all I knew was I remembered nothing until startled by a loud noise. I quickly realised the noise was the machine beside my bed. The alarm is sounding, and I'm aware that all the readings are blank. I remember thinking, what the fuck? This does not look good. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm awake or what's happening, but I know a nurse comes running into the ward. I hear her footsteps as she approaches and checks the readings on the machine, or lack of readings is more accurate, and then she runs off. The crash team arrives, and events take an unusual twist, as if things aren't unusual enough. I see the curtains getting closed around my bed. There are several medics with varying job descriptions. They all seem to know their tasks and are performing in a very proficient and professional manner. I'm watching them do their thing when I suddenly realise I'm sitting up. I don't notice my body lying flat in the bed as I'm overcome with an incredibly intense feeling that I'm no longer part of this world, this realm where the medics are working. As the weirdness of the situation strikes me, my attention focuses on the medics who, I now realise, are trying to revive me. Time as I once knew it doesn't exist. I'm somewhere where linear time no longer matters. I'm fucking dead, but I'm somehow here. My sense of detachment increases as I now know I can control time. It felt like if I looked forward, I could move time into the future, or if I looked it back the way, over my left shoulder, I could move or see time going backward. I could fast forward or rewind time as I chose. A weird sensation indeed to add to the already increasing bewilderment. Adjusting to my new realm of consciousness, I decide not to put my time-altering skills to the test, as for the moment my focus is on the fascinating subject of resuscitation and the medics attempting to bring me back to the land of the living. I can see everything happening with my now 360-degree vision and begin noticing more details of my surroundings. There's an older nurse with dyed blonde hair, her roots starting to show. She's at the top of the bed, constantly talking in my ear. Come on, Danny, stay with us. Come on, Danny, stay with us. Danny, stay with us. Come on. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Although fully aware of my surroundings and seeing the medics trying to revive me, the older nurse speaking in my ear holds my attention. She has a tattoo on the back of her neck, a very intricate design of a butterfly with beautiful reds and greens, which bring the butterfly to life. It truly is beautiful. This next bit I've never told anyone till now. I don't know why. It's always felt a bit out of place considering what was happening. At this point, whatever I am, an entity, an energy, a spirit, whatever you want to call it, I can move around, like float about. It's hard to describe and put into words. Anyway, I find myself beginning to laugh as I float around in front of the faces of the medics. And at one point I'm waving, or what feels like waving, and saying silly things like, "You can't see me, can you? And I'm here, and I'm invisible." Mental. It's now my visitors from this new, otherworldly realm arrive. The curtain is pulled open, and two small, shabbily dressed men are standing. Their sudden appearance diverts my attention from watching the nurse speak in my ear. My initial thought is, what are the orderlies doing here? Then one of the men smiles at me, the one on my right, and I know at that moment they are here with me in this otherworldly realm. We look at each other for a moment. Then the one who had smiled makes an inquisitive gesture and says, "Well, are you coming?" When I say he says to me, what I mean is that it's more of an exchange of energy, a telepathic communication. It feels like speech. Strange stuff. I decline his offer and everything goes blank. The medical team brings me back to life. My heart starts beating and my pulse begins. Eventually, when I come around, I was once again surrounded by the medics, all doing their thing. As they finish their checks and move away, I recognise the nurse approaching my bed. I see her dyed blonde hair with roots starting to show. She leans in close to me and says in a voice I recognise, "You had us worried, Danny. You really had us worried." As she tucks in my sheet and turns away, I notice the beautiful butterfly on the back of her neck. I look over at the 5 other patients in the ward, all staring at me with a mixture of trepidation, fear and awe. And that's my story. Thanks, Danny. Thanks for sharing your story with me. I love these stories as I'm curious about what happens when we pass. Hearing this story firsthand adds to my curiosity. I would like to know what an experience like that would do to someone. Would you have described yourself as religious before this happened? Have you become religious since it happened? Do you think there's a God? Do you think there's an afterlife? Has it changed your behaviours in daily life? Back to Danny. Although I regard myself as unaffiliated to any particular religion, before entering the operating room, I decided that I would survive this no matter what happened and offered a prayer. In that prayer, I asked to have no problems during the operation and that I would return home safely to see my children. Having no idea why I did this, but it felt right. I've always had an ill-defined sense of what God and an afterlife may be. Still, I never felt the need to explore or express it, and have never been drawn to any religion, as I was raised in a secular house where my family openly mocked religion. I've experienced other instances that I'm certain occurred to save me from imminent danger, or were experienced as a reminder or a guide that there is another life beyond death and something we humans call God. One example of this was as a young child. I had an accident that left me unable to move any muscles on the right side of my body for about 3 months. I have memories of my spirit or my soul floating downstairs and hovering outside the living room door, listening to my parents talk. My world of dreams has always created interesting connections with life, such as the ability to dream about future events in minute detail. I can also sense evil far better than before. The detailed dreaming hasn't changed since my experience. It's something I still do, although it doesn't worry me so much now, as my experience for me was definitive confirmation of an afterlife. Confirmation I have unfinished business and will not die until this business is concluded. The only way of describing this is in supernatural terms, of a manifestation or event attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature. During my otherworldly near-death experience after my operation, I believe the appearance of the two apparitions to be a connection with angels, and my pre-op prayer was a connection with this happening. I believe an afterlife exists, and this experience only confirms an already strong but ill-defined belief in God and a different form of existence from the one we perceive on earth. The only other moderate change in my life was I deplore the irrational hatred of others even more than I did before, having less time now for selfish people. Life as we know it in this forum is too short. Brilliant, Danny. You and I have similarities in our belief in an afterlife. I know your experience took place a while back, and it's left me wondering if, having had time to reflect, are you any wiser about what we may encounter in the afterlife? I believe there's definitely something awaiting us, but what that something is, I'm not sure. So, back to Danny. Danny, I don't know what we may encounter in the afterlife, but I'm certain there is one. After being given the all clear and getting home from the hospital, in the following weeks and months, the experience got me thinking more and more about what had taken place during my near-death experience. I began questioning it and would rerun the whole sequence repeatedly, searching for any significant meaning for me in my life. Each time I reran the sequence of events, I could feel and sense everything in the same way it happened. It was a strange sensation returning to this heightened state of awareness, as if I were back in the moment. I continued trying to figure out what happened and its significance for my life until I began having a recurring dream in which I was dead and travelling through the universe in a transparent tunnel. As I travelled along this tunnel, it got hotter and hotter to the point where I would awaken with the sweat lashing out of me, fearing it was the burning fires of hell. That's how hot it felt. And I've no idea why I was connecting it with the burning fires of hell. This recurring dream happened for some time until, one particular night, the journey through the transparent tunnel continued beyond the hot burning sensation, and I was launched into the light at the end of the tunnel, into what I can only describe as an incredible, magnificent, freeing place of heavenly wonders. An all-encompassing, vast sea of light penetrated through my soul's essence with feelings of love, compassion, and forgiveness. I felt illuminated with profound beauty and was completely present in every moment. All the galaxies of the universe surrounded me, and I was ecstatic, an almost indescribable place to be. I awakened feeling incredible. There was no more recurring dream after this. In that final dream, I received a message, I don't know how this happened, but I received a message telling me to read the last part of the Old Testament. Once again, I had no idea why, as I don't affiliate with any particular religion. But that was the message. So I searched and found the Bible, flicked through to the latter part of the Old Testament, and had a read. What was on those pages surprised me, and I'm still trying to work it out. What does it all mean? And how is it connected with my near-death experience and life? Wow, Danny, that's some story, my man. And thanks again for sharing. I love this kind of thing. And as exotic as your account is, it's pretty mild compared to some other near-death experiences where the participants are wonderstruck and come across an endless cascade of gods: African gods, Egyptian, Greek, Hebrew, Christian, Islamic, and Native American. There are instances of encounters with the great Allah, shimmering with grace beyond grace. Some of the ones that I've read encounter the Buddha as a living lotus, or meet Lord Krishna with glistening iridescent blue skin radiating absolute power. It's all intertwined and all valid, just different names covering an all-encompassing force. I read it described as the transforming light of the gods. It's mental, wondering about the possibilities of what, if anything, might be next. Who and what is not God? What does God mean to each individual? Is the universe the body of God? We are all connected, we are all one. A oneness interacting with a matrix of unimaginable energy. A super consciousness of a higher realm of self. Do we enter a dimension of magnificent love and energy? What's the connection between spiritual awakening, higher levels of meditation, psychedelics, and near-death experiences? Is it all different pathways to the same place? To become transformed and immersed in love, to be embraced and changed in a way where you will never be the same again, after travelling through the tunnel of light and experiencing a profound oneness connecting all souls. How can one view life in the same way after this transformation? I understand that the journeys are custom-tailored, depending on each individual's belief system. No matter what religious background or philosophical leanings one may have, everyone will experience a slightly different angle of defining God, the universe, good and evil, love and fear. It's incredible learning about all these near-death experiences and the similarities with the various realms encountered while using psychedelic drugs. Are they connected? There's a hypothesis that says at the moment of death, our pineal gland releases DMT, causing hallucinations. Some return to share their experience, some don't. So how do we know what happens to the ones who don't return, apart from death, obviously? There's no humorous twist at the end of this story. I wanted to provoke thought about the afterlife, God, hallucinogenic drugs, and in what ways, if any, they are all connected. Perhaps it's a miracle that we are here. Each morning we awaken, and each new sunrise. Who's going to be around for sunset? The universe can take you at any moment. Sitting reading a book, walking to the shop, watching TV or YouTube, driving home, eating dinner, enjoying your sleep. The Reaper can appear at any time. Enjoy your day.